This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland. Hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips. I'm Jo Fay.
And I'm Simon Sried.
And this is our special royal wedding episode.
Oh, is it special?
Yes, it is. It's extremely special because it's probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know. Exactly, yes. So yesterday we spent a fantastic day here in the Swiss Alps watching the royal wedding on TV.
Yeah, it's like a dream come true in the Swiss Alps in a chalet watching TV.
Yeah. And I was sort of in two minds at first as to whether I wanted to watch it or not, because I didn't watch the last one, Will and Kate, because I thought, do I really want to spend the whole day watching someone I don't know get married? However, this time, things were a little bit different. We spent quite a lot of time in England visiting palaces and castles and finding out about British history. And I thought, why not watch that and see what actually happens?
Yeah, it was, quite interesting, I think.
So, quite interesting. What did you make of the whole event?
Well, the whole event, it was interesting to see because you see the different places, and I think you learn quite a bit about the British tradition or culture. You see loads of people cheering, and the interviews and so on was quite interesting. Loads of fundraising stuff going on, and many of these NGOs went to the wedding, so that was interesting to see. And all the places we've visited, you can see. So yeah, but I've never seen a royal wedding before, and probably also won't anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, the next one would be in quite a while, hopefully. But anyway, once you've seen one, you've seen them all, haven't you?
So you give them a chance to stay together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wasn't talking about them, but more, the next generation getting married.
I see.
That might be in 20 years or something.
Yeah, no, I think in general, in Switzerland, it wasn't that much of a topic. I mean, it was a topic, and you read stuff in the news and so on. But I think, for example, today you read more about ice hockey. For example, in case you didn't know, the Swiss went to the finals, the World Championship finals.
Something
ice
else
hockey
happened, not just the royal wedding.
Yeah, so I think that's much more important for us. And when you go through the news, I think you find it not really on the highest priority level. There is a few articles and summary, and maybe you find on some, how do you say, maybe cheaper sheets or
the more sort of how can we say, less intellectual publications.
You find maybe more about dresses and costs and who was there and who is who and stuff like that.
Whereas we were actually in London last weekend. And at first it was really nice to see, there's so much kind of British paraphernalia everywhere. And there's, cups and plates and scarves and posters and tea towels and umbrellas and everything to do with the royal wedding, and kind of as an extension of that, everything to do with the Union Jack and Britishness. Literally, you can buy that and it's in every shop window. But towards the end of the weekend, it was getting a bit into the overload situation, even for me.
Yeah, true.
Kind of thought, true. Okay, I know we're in Britain, but really, give it a rest.
Yeah, I think, and it's for sure, it's similar to every other country. So some people really love it, I'm sure. And also if you scroll through Twitter or something, you see loads of posts and people tweeting about the wedding. So obviously I wasn't the only one who was watching. But on the other hand, yeah, I think, for example, is it such a big event? I mean, when Lady Di, for example, when she died, that was a big event also in Switzerland and covered everywhere in the news for weeks and months even. But this wedding is just, Prince Harry was last time in the news maybe once with his Nazi shirt, and then when he went to Afghanistan or where he was. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just...
Yeah, he was fourth in line to the throne, but now since... Will and Kate have had 3 kids, he's moved down a bit in those rankings.
Yeah, rubbish.
So he's still kind of top-level monarchy, obviously. But it's not maybe as big an event as the Will and Kate wedding previously, I guess. But you can't get much bigger, really, in terms of major events for the country in Britain.
Yeah, and it's also, I think this is quite big because the actress is famous. So.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Obviously,
she of Suits in the US, apparently, so people tell me. But yeah, watching it yesterday, we watched the BBC coverage, of course. And they did lots of various interviews along the way. They interviewed lots of members of the crowd.
Yeah,
basically in different locations around Windsor. And from watching that, you would get the impression that every person in Britain on this day loves the royal family and couldn't think of anywhere else they'd rather be.
Yeah, true. And it was utterly delightful, or what was it?
We learned a few key phrases yesterday. Yeah. Utterly delightful was a key one that kept popping up.
Yeah, everything was magnificent and remarkable and just stunning, yes. And even the weather was organized for the prince.
Oh yes, I think we heard maybe about 10 times in the space of 30 minutes that it was an absolutely beautiful day. The sun is beating down on our backs. It was 12 degrees, we might add,
in the morning,
point.
Yeah.
But it was clear blue skies and no rain, so there's not much more you can ask for.
Yeah, true. But that was one thing that surprised me a bit, because for me, I just think I don't really... The fascination of this royal family is quite interesting, I think. But there are people who are not so positive in England as some that we know, and they might be a little more critical. And I wondered why the BBC coverage was so positive and everything was great and everything spectacular, and there was not one single negative comment. And I wonder, you also work as a journalist, and you know, I just wondered, is there people who see it not so great? They don't feel very represented. Exactly.
Well, basically the BBC is in a really difficult position, because if they had put one foot wrong yesterday, then the press who are trying to the press who don't like the BBC would have been all over them. And while they have to be representative, you got this impression that the whole country and all the newspapers and almost everybody was excited about this day. And for me, it was quite hard to see how the BBC could have fitted in critical coverage on the day. And I know that in advance they did a few kind of fact-check articles, for example.
Can you give me an example? Or
yeah, like, how much does the royal family cost us? How much will the wedding cost us?
So how much is it then?
Well... Basically, the police don't want to say how much they spend on security, for example, and this is coming at the cost of taxpayers. But one thing we do know from a Freedom of Information request is that William and Kate's wedding in 2011 cost £6.35 million.
Okay.
It's obviously quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
But then even the wedding, the organisation on the day, the cake, the dress, who's paying for that? I assume that comes from the royal family's money, which also comes from taxpayers.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, like you said before, when you're in London, you see all the stuff that is sold and loads of people only coming for seeing the wedding. So quite a lot of money goes back to the country, I assume.
Yeah, I don't think you could argue with the fact that people... are interested in Britain and come to visit Britain at any time because of the royal family.
It's like a marketing family.
Yeah, basically. They're our greatest ambassadors. But some people would say that would still be the case even if they didn't have a kind of place in the constitution, if the Queen wasn't the head of the state anymore.
Yeah, I see.
But that's a really difficult question. And I actually read that this campaign group, Republic, started a petition before the wedding to say that no taxpayers' money should be used, but they collected such a small amount of signatures, 32,000, out of a population of about 50 million adults. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's not saying for certain how many people would or wouldn't support that, but I think generally people at the moment are quite positive about the royal family.
So you think most of them, most of British people would say, yes, the royal family is awesome.
I wouldn't want to make a generalisation like that. But at the moment, with William and Kate, they're being very inoffensive. And so people aren't so set against them as I think they were in the times of Diana, after what happened to Princess Diana, in the times of when Camilla was new on the scene and when Sarah Ferguson was new on the scene. These are all kind of various scandals that played out in the 1990s.
Oh, you haven't said how much it costs yet, did you? The royal family, how much?
Oh, I was actually quite surprised to find that the royal family doesn't cost us so much money if you look at it per person. Last year it was about 65p per person per year, and it actually went up in 2018 to £1.25 per person per year.
What? Like 100% up? Double the money?
Like 114% or something increase.
Wow.
Which is huge, because they're also paying for improvements at Buckingham Palace, for example.
Oh, okay.
And all of these things we don't really hear about.
And all the children of the children, and so on.
The thing is, in Switzerland, you'd have to have a vote that says, can we use extra money to upgrade Buckingham Palace?
Yes.
But this is just happening, I think. But maybe I'm not following the news closely enough. But it's a kind of quite a complicated setup as to how the royal family gets our money. They have, it comes from taxpayers' money, but they also have the Crown estates. They own property, and some of this money goes into the treasury and some of the profits go back to the royal family.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but at the end, it's not so much per person. It's like a chewing gum per year. So you could compare the royal family to a chewing gum.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. But there's always the voices that say, think what else we could do with that money.
Yeah.
And one critical thing that I did read about the wedding was that homeless people, for example, were being kind of shooed off the streets before this mass invasion of about 100,000 people yesterday to watch the wedding in Windsor.
I see.
And while on the one hand, royalists were allowed to camp out all night to get their spot in the crowd, homeless people were being told, step aside. But I also read something from a member of the church who was working in Windsor yesterday, and she said, basically, we put these people who are sleeping on the streets into shelters because otherwise suddenly thousands of people are showing up where they normally live. I don't know. It's difficult, and it was a bizarre, expensive, confusing, but intriguing day.
Yeah, it's a difficult topic, I think, because you don't really think about all the things that come together with, you just think the Queen is there and she always was, and probably she will never die, will she? And she will always stay and nothing will ever change. I don't know.
As long as they stay popular and as long as this new generation can kind of remain vaguely inoffensive, but also be seen to be doing something good for charities, I think they will probably stay.
So we will see in another
50 years' time.
Cool. Then we can meet again.
Great.
Fabulous.
Okay, so thanks a lot for listening today. If you like what you've been hearing, then do leave us a review on iTunes. And you can also get in touch on WhatsApp. Tell us what you think, share your opinion with us, and we'll play it on the show. The number is +41 78 915 3959. And if you send us a message, we will make sure you never miss another episode.
Yeah, if you leave a review on iTunes, that would be awesome, because that's basically the main possibility that we can be seen by other people and other people can listen to our show. So that would be great. And WhatsApp would be super exciting to play something on the show if you send us something.
All right, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.